Okay, so one more time, hello and welcome. My name is Maria Branovački, and today I will be your host in front of the, obviously, Atria Group and Ericsson Coaching Serbia. So welcome to our first panel on this topic that we call, as a concept, Coach Up. And before we start with the panel, I will explain what is the Coach Up and what is the idea behind, so why did we do it like this? I guess that you hear a lot of theory around about the coaching and what is coaching and how to use it. And I guess that you also have a lot of questions. So is this for me? How is this useful with my business? Can I use it with my team or my client? So the theory is one thing, the experience is another thing. And that is the reason why we decided to, during these next few months to have these interactions, to have this like something like this one, conversations with the people who already have a lot of experience with the coaching. So you can get the informations and experience from the first hand. So today with me will be 4 of my colleagues. And to be honest, I'm really proud that all of them are my students as well. So seeing them practicing coaching on a daily basis and, you know, growing that concept of using coaching with people development, it is something that really makes me proud. So how are we going to do it? Well, I will have a conversation with 4 of them. We have some questions that we prepared in front, but of course you can join us. And please, if you have any questions or comments, use the chat. So I see that there is a lot of people here. So for the purpose of having a clear conversation, please, you're more than welcome to just put your comments or questions into the chat, so we will make sure to that we answer during this panel discussion. Okay, are we clear with the concept and how we're going to do it? Yeah, okay. So today with me, as I mentioned, are 4 of my colleagues. And I will first introduce myself. So why am I here today with you? Some of you already know me, some of you know, but I'm a professional coach and trainer for Ericsson's programs, High Performance Team Coaching and the Art and Science of Coaching. And I really enjoy doing coaching and teaching people how to do it as well. So today we will meet together. I know them, well, I do know them, but I would like to know them better. So here today with me are David. Hello, David. Aleksandar. Hello. Anna Pegan. Hi, Anna. And Ivana Vidovic. Hi, Ivana. So hi. I'm inviting my colleagues to introduce themselves. I wouldn't, you know, spend too much time talking about themselves, but I would like to invite them to share some important things about themselves or something they would like to say. So I don't know how to start, but let's say the ladies first, maybe. Anna, would you please like to start with your introduction?
I think someone has to unmute her. She can't unmute herself.
Yes, let's unmute.
Thank you.
Sorry, this technology. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. So hi, everybody. My name is Anna, and I'm from Belgrade. I work in Two Desperados as a product manager, which basically means that I lead product development. In my case, this is mobile games. And of course, when we're talking about leading product development, we're actually talking about leading a team that is doing product development. Also understanding the users that we're building a product for and managing our stakeholders. So I think I already mentioned this in my description, but basically making a product is all about people. So for the people, from the people, so you really need to understand them, to communicate well, to align, and to be able to jointly do this from all sides, to understand all sides.
Great, You said one beautiful thing that I really support, like I fully agree. While we are building the businesses and developing projects or products, we also should pay attention to our teams. So while developing business, we're also supposed to develop our teams. So thank you for that. Thank you, Anna. So Ivana, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey to everybody, my name is Ivana. Currently, I'm in some transition with the job. Right now, I don't know to answer the main question, should I start my own business or should I look for a job in some corporation? I think that in a couple of weeks, I will understand what to do next. Besides of that, I have more than 5 years experience in HR. Most of that experience is in retail. So I am someone who is very familiar with coaching teams, and also I had opportunity to certify in the field of coaching, and I am professional and certified team coach.
Great, thank you. You know, the transition, when you start exploring coaching, transition is something that it comes with personal development. So it's like opening the new world, and it happens a lot. So good luck with searching for the new, yeah, exactly.
Right now, I look for my cards from a certification, and creativity is something that is right now my mood.
Perfect. So when you open the books, then it's hard to go back, which is really great. Thank you, Ivana. So guys, David, maybe would you like to introduce yourself now?
Sure. Thank you very much, Maria. So my name is David. I'm originally from Germany, but I live in the Czech Republic since 10 years with my family. And I do a couple of things at the same time. So on one hand, that's my main job. I work in a multinational corporation where I do work as an advisor to support supervisors and managers to lead their teams more from a coaching perspective. So to help them to be virtually engaged with them at the moment, and also to increase the interpersonal competencies. So it's more a coaching than actually training. And next to that, I have also my own business that's more in the tourism industry, where I have some people who support me taking care of tours in the city, so very different topic, but also coaching helps me there a lot to help my employees to get better working with customers. And also privately, it helps me a lot. I did the training with Ericsson in the last year, and I have some more background more as a drama teacher and social worker from the past in Germany. So coaching was always part of my past, actually. And I enjoy it a lot. I have a lot of passion for that. That's why I'm very also pleased to be here and to answer some questions.
Great, thank you. So a kind of living example of the coaching doesn't care about the borders or the backgrounds. So we are coming from different backgrounds, and which is really beautiful. Like there is opportunity to do coaching all around the world with the different cultures and from different countries, which is really great opportunity. So thank you for being here today with us. And last but not least, Aleksandar, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name is Aleksandar. I'm part of Digitech Galaxus, a Swiss online leader in online shopping. In Serbia, I'm responsible for around 150 people organization that grew from 10 in 2016 and is likely to double in the next 2-3 years. As organizations grow, the team grows, and that's why coaching is sort of a support to build better teams and would help us for the growth that will come in the next years.
Yeah, so the coaching is for sure connected with the growth. So happy to hear it. And I know that a lot of your colleagues are also team coaches, first of all, and that you're using coaching a lot. So I'm really looking forward to hear more about that during this conversation. So thank you for being here today with us. So shall we start with let's say with the questions? So first, the question that I usually ask people when they come to the training, and I'm really curious about how the people start exploring the coaching and even thinking of becoming coach. So I will share just a few sentences of my story. I entered coaching as a sales manager from one huge global pharmaceutical company. So I was leading the team. I was in a position of sales manager, and I was wondering, how to be more effective, how to develop my team, and how to create, let's say, partners and future leaders instead of managing those people, because we had a big field and a lot of clients. So this is how I started exploring coaching as a tool, as a managerial tool. So I'm wondering what might be some stories behind your ideas. How did you decide to explore coaching? Oh, we have some young leader as well in Aleksandar's. Yeah, that's great. This is how coaching works. So who would like to start? Ivana, would you maybe like to start with how did you decide to explore coaching? Ivana, do you hear me?
You're asking me. I have.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that is question for Aleksandar. Well, I had the opportunity to self coaching on my.
Okay, I guess there is a little bit of challenge with the connection. But
Skin, when I started.
sorry, we didn't hear you. Could you please repeat just what you said, because of the connection? Something.
I was lucky enough to experience coaching on my own skin when I started to work in HR. And for me, it was a very good experience to know that someone who is my boss doesn't want to know only about my performance. He wants to know me, and he wants to know what is behind that performance. And when I became a team leader, it was something that I wanted to do with my teammates. And I started by my own. And I practice. Sometimes it was better, sometimes it wasn't that better. And because my career went from associate to team leader, after that manager, and finally director, it was really necessary to learn how it's done. And I decided to join the team coaching certification program. And I didn't regret it, because besides of that, it was very interesting. It is very helpful. Later we will discuss about some examples, and I will share with you.
Cool. So you started from your own example, like being client of the coaching. Okay, so great. Thank you. So David, what about you? What was your path? Like, how did you decide to explore coaching?
Well, it's a bit connected already to my studies. That's by now, I think, almost 20 years ago, actually. So it is 20 years ago. No, 15 years ago. So I studied the social work, and as I mentioned, also drama teaching. So those two things have two things in common, or one thing for sure, which is all about expressing emotions. One more in public, and one more to find a way to get more resilience, to fight or to actually also cope with change, for example. So that is coming from the times of studying. I have a big passion for caring for people, and I found with coaching a communication style that allowed me from walking to an advisory, more a therapeutical style after my studies, to a style of an asking style, like asking people what do they think, what are their resources. And I enjoyed that the most, actually. And that's why I was then a supervisor in Germany back in the days, to support social workers also in a coaching style, to help them to get to their best what they are, and also to help them to cope better with the very difficult environment they work in. It's not easy working with clients who take drugs, people who are doing street work, for example, and people who have a lot of problems, families, for example, working with them. So domestic violence. So I have more a therapeutical background. But coaching was a very great way to unlock the resources of their people, to work with their ideas they have. So therefore, I decided to go this direction of coaching, and now I'm more in the business, but it still doesn't change the fact. It's about caring about people, because in the end, my opinion is that success is a side effect of people who are motivated and have a passion for what they do. And that is something I like to focus on. Being positive and solution-oriented is also something I like a lot, and this is what I can find there.
Beautiful. So if you care about people, maybe coaching would be your way of supporting them. Thank you. Aleksandar, would you share your story? How did you decide to explore coaching. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, for the last almost 10 years, I'm sort of leading either part of organizations or the whole organizations, and working with people is something that I love and enjoy. And as the sort of the responsibility grows, and as you try to lead more and more people, I think it gets more and more difficult because of the different personalities, different opinions, and sort of I felt even from the beginning that sort of I missed, as David said, a tool, communication tool to make sure that all works. I think there are things that you can do naturally and then you have in yourself, but I've reached a point when I saw it's not enough and I need to do step up. So I spent a little bit of, let's say, unsuccessful attempts to develop as a coach, but it was only, we took high performance team coaching that the whole sort of subject clicked and that I understood the power, and actually I knew how to use it and improve myself as a leader and as a colleague and support my organization. So that was sort of the journey for me.
Hey, perfect. So starting from teams.
Yes.
Thank you. And Anna, what about you?
Yeah, I have a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard and learned a little bit about coaching rather early on in my career on some of the management training that I took. But I was never in a position to actually practice it or experience it myself. Well, just the culture of the company wasn't set up to actually be able to do this. So years after that, I was in a position of a program manager and acting as a scrum master to teams. And this is where I found myself now in a situation where I really needed to align teams which were in a complete, well, chaos. Yeah, because basically what they did, they took two teams, meshed them together and split them up again, completely different, in a different way. So you had these two groups of people, they didn't know their goals, their values, they were completely out of sync. And yeah, that's when I started to search, what do I do? You know, like it's on me to actually get them pointed in the right direction, focused, going together, you know, like getting along for the start. And that was, yeah, that's when it hit me. Oh, well, I know about something. What is it? What's it called? Oh, yeah, it's coaching. Okay. So where do I go from here, you know? And that's how I actually ended up with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it was out of pure necessity, really.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So obviously we can use coaching like individually, one-on-one. Sometimes we're clients for the coaching. Some of us are using coaching with the teams. And this is my favorite part, like having teams to work with. I don't know if we use it as a pure team coaching or just as an approach, like as you, Aleksandar, mentioned, like through asking questions. David also mentioned that. So through asking questions and to supporting people in thinking and developing themselves, and as Anna mentioned as well, like getting a load together and understanding, you know, what actually we are doing together, not just being part of the same team. So that actually is leading us to my next question. So what might be some really great experience that you had with your coaching practice? So either with a team or with your client or like through coaching conversation, but what might be some examples that you would share with us? Like, oh, this was a great situation that I used coaching or team coaching and it worked really well. And I will repeat it. Okay, so maybe this time, Aleksandar, would you start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let's say from a leadership perspective, the jobs can be sometimes quite one-dimensional because people sort of, they need your attention, they need your direction, they need your guidance. And where coaching helped me is really to sort of create a culture of inclusivity, because it taught me to ask questions. So when I had to pace, and luckily I work in a company where we have the ability really to explore and develop ourselves as a leader, it helped me sort of get people on board. So it's not only me passing some knowledge or advising or sort of creating something. It helped me sort of become more connected with the rest of the company and the team. And when we have something to do, and we have something, either it's a project or it's a sort of a change where the company is going to. So coaching helped me. So it's not me explaining what it is, but let's explore this together. And I think this helped me immensely in creating this two-dimensional conversation and sort of having this inclusive environment and culture.
Okay, so by involving people, if I understood well.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one example, we had a sort of a performance appraisal program that sort of, it was always, you have a lot of text and you always have a lot of explanations and video, but at the end, nobody understood. So using the coaching, I completely tried to redesign how to explain and how to get this topic closer to people, and sort of use the element of coaching, asking a lot of questions. So at the end, we concluded everything together rather than it was me telling them. And it created huge difference. It created better understanding, better engagement all together. So for me, the benefits were quite high.
Perfect, thank you. So I see one question in chat. I don't know if this is the question for Aleksandar or overall. So the question is, can you tell us something about not so great situation in coaching that you managed to overcome and to change from not good moment in a session to right to the center amazing for all panelists? So you can think of this question, and maybe while answering this experience, maybe you can also add on this what Milena asked, okay? So thank you, Aleksandar. David, would you share your experience, and maybe if you have some idea about this question that Milena asked, so maybe you would share?
Yes, for sure. I have some idea for that one.
Oh, perfect.
So maybe first of all, some great examples when I think about conflict resolution. There were a lot of situations, especially in the business, where coaching helped to work with the ideas people have. And often those were better ideas than my own ideas. So that was something where I found out quite often that is a very good way. I like group coaching, so leading team meetings without being taking the formal lead on that as a supervisor or manager in the past. I like to throw the ball over to the group and rather facilitating that in a coaching style. And that was much more engagement. And also we could see that the people just enjoyed the meeting even much more. So there's something as examples. I also like to lead a bit by passion when it comes to coaching, and to have this human approach, like rather caring about for the people than what the results are. Not always, of course, but sometimes people just need someone to listen to. And coaching is a great example of carefully listening, how people do feel. And to give the answer to Milena, was that right in the chat? So I can give you a very great example of what was not going well. I have a great failure I still remember from coaching perspective. And that was an awesome mistake I do. It's brilliant. I like it. I don't want to recommend it to you, but I was leading a team, quite a big team with a very diverse background, not only in terms of different skill capabilities, but also in regards to culture background. And there were two people from very different countries, from different parts of the world. They were working together. Well, they did not work together. They could not really work together. And they always had problems together. And once one of those people approached me, and I was giving, with the best intentions I had, a very clear advice what to do in a one-to-one situation. And that completely went the opposite way, completely wrong. The person even did that, but it didn't work at all. And what was the result on that was that the people did not even resign or something. It was even worse. I had actually two people who for more than a year could not work at all. And the business results went extremely down. Probably it was not the only thing that I have done there that I actually give it a wrong advice. Maybe also I did not spend enough time with them and did not carefully listen to them. So also giving an advice, as we know, is not coaching. I had the best conclusion for them, and in the end it did not work out. So this is something what I take very positively out of that, because it is a very good example of what you can reach with coaching by looking for their own resources, unlocking them. And maybe it's not your idea, but having it as their idea is much more coaching than anything else. So I was more giving an advice and it did not go well. So it was an example, I would say, that was a coaching failure actually.
Yeah. So I don't know if this was the answer to Milena's question, but if she would like to hear more, she can also put the comment or the additional question to the chat. Thank you, David. So Anna, would you share your experience?
Yeah, sure. So the sort of space where coaching helped me really the most is listening. I am a really strong person, and I tend to talk a lot. And when I get started, it's sort of hard to stop me. And yeah, and I'm quite aware of it. It's not that I learned this like surprisingly, like, oh my God, is that me? No, I'm quite familiar with it. I didn't know what to do and how to sort of put a stop to it, sort of make a distance, start listening, and so on. So what actually coaching did for me personally is change my approach. So even now, even when I have this like internal dialogue, I try to shut it down and to actually transfer it into questions. Like, okay, I think this is what we need to do. This is the answer. So what would be the question? And then really listen to what the other person is answering instead of me giving it straight away. So in that sense, my approach to people, to conversations, to gathering information really changed. It's still hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course. Lifelong learning.
Exactly. But I'm getting better at it. And yeah, that was one of my biggest challenges when I started really coaching. But in that sense, I'm not really doing full-time coaching sessions because I rarely have the opportunity to do that because there's always some other agenda. So in order to really do a coaching session, I need to sort of schedule and not call it a coaching session for the team. It's more a workshop or brainstorming, any other keyword that has nothing to do with sessions as such. So I rarely have this opportunity to have the session from the beginning to the end to really go in the coaching position completely. I do this, well, maybe once a half a year, a quarter, depending on the team and the needs of the team. But what I really do, I do a coaching approach to almost all the work that we do together. And that would be exactly what I just described. So instead of me setting the things, here is what we need to do, here's the plan, and so on, I rather ask them, so this is the goal. How do we get here from here to there? What do you think? What are the benefits? What are the obstacles? What are the risks? You know, like really engage them. Why are we doing this? What do you think? You know, what is the bigger picture? So what does this really mean for us, like for the team, for the company, you know, like really do this in a coaching style rather than doing the real coaching sessions. And that really works. And it's more accepted by the teams than doing the actual sessions. The actual sessions we do when we are actually forming the team initially, or when somebody new is joining, or when there are some big changes that are coming or have happened. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like in regular work, I really enforce this coaching approach.
Perfect. So just a little bit, let's say summarize what you just said, if I understood correctly. So we can use it as a full coaching session, also with a team, like when somebody new comes, when we want to create a vision, to work on the values. And also we can use this coaching approach, as you all kind of mentioned, like by asking questions, by involving people, by learning from our team members, you know, not to just rely on ourselves, like having the answers and the ideas about everything, but we have really something that we call intelligence, like team intelligence, something that is more powerful than any intelligent person, expert, or anyone who knows or thinks that knows everything about the topic. So thank you for that. I guess that we have some questions here. So you can also maybe answer who would like to answer. So Enes asked, after COVID-19 in our insurance company, we need to increase the sales, but we have to keep salary on same level as before. How coaching can help me reach the salespeople all together or one by one to be enthusiastic to do it? So any ideas?
Yeah, I can try.
Sure.
So for me, when we're actually starting any type of project, the first thing is motivation. And when we're talking about motivation, we're actually talking about values and the sort of higher purpose vision of why we're doing something. And it is also setting a context for the team and their personal involvement in that particular goal. And it allows them to actually relate to it on an emotional level, not just on a rational level, such as, yeah, we need to hit these targets, you know, but also there is a higher purpose behind it. They're the collective why. And I would try with that. I would start there and see what happens.
Yeah, so I fully support what you just said. So there is an external motivation and then there is an internal motivation. So external is sometimes limited or not under our control. It needs to be done like that. And especially with the big changes, such as this one that we just had. And then there is eternal. So as I mentioned, the values, the vision, so the big why and be who we are. So working with the teams on the something that we call high logical levels, on the level of who we are together, or identity of the team or the company is something that really can help in this kind of situation. So to connect people with a higher purpose and wait for the better times to come. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, so there is questions are coming, so I love it. Ivan asked, how did you handle a situation when you have to have coaching conversation during working hours and face client being unable to go out of daily care, so multitasking? So any experiences with that? Ivana, maybe you or any of you who would like to share. So.
Okay, I can share my experience.
Yeah.
First of all, I will answer your question, and after that, I will answer that question.
Two in one.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, on my previous role, I have a very challenging assignment. I needed to establish HR function in company with more than 3,000 people. And it was very difficult. I needed to work on multiple HR projects, and coaching helped me to engage all my associates, because when you work on different projects at the same time, you need to have fully engaged the associates to deliver all of that. First of all, every project which we had, we started with the coaching sessions, where we needed to answer 3 questions. First question was where we are now with that HR project. Second question was what do we want of new process, and how we want how we want that process look like. And third and most important question was how we want to what would look like a journey when we are transforming some HR process to the new HR process where we want to design. It was very challenging for me to be the leader of HR and the coach. And something that we learn on coaching courses is a neutral position. And it was maybe the most difficult because you have on daily basis some problems with your team, some conflicts, and it is hard to be in one time a leader, manager, and the other time you need to be coach. And maybe as a leader, when you are leader of some people, when you are in a coach position, you have opportunity to listen to your people and to help them with their personal problems. And maybe that is something that is for me most useful of coaching, because when I'm a coach, I'm not their boss, I'm not their manager or leader, and they can speak open with me with their problems and with everything that is bothering them. And I have one tricky situation. I was on a coaching session with my one of my team leaders, and she discovered that she doesn't want to work in our company. And that is maybe the most tricky situation when you are a leader and you find out on coaching session that you don't have any tool to keep your employee because she or he is unhappy on that position. And when you are a coach, you don't have to give them advices. It is their decision what they want to do with their career, job, or everything else. And that was maybe the trickiest situation for me.
Yeah, so the neutral position is something that is really important. We call it coach position. And it's really important to learn how to step into coach position, especially from the role of manager or HR manager or leader. So also you mentioned one important thing, and that is trust. So building that atmosphere where the person feels comfortable to share the feelings, the thoughts, the ideas. As you mentioned, she didn't want to work with the company anymore. So, to feel free to really say it out loud is something that is important to support your team members, which means that you really need to be ready to work with the coaching as a tool, and not to ignore the answers or just rephrase the question if you don't like the answer. So it is a special position. And what Ivan was asking is about the how to support a team member to as I understood, to go out from that multitasking and the problems you mentioned, so they have daily basis some tasks or many things to finish. So what would you say? How do you manage that? I mean, all of you, how do you kind of switch or support your team member to switch from complaining or being busy with something, answering the emails or being on the phone, into the mood of being coached and ready to share and to develop and to grow? How do you do it? Like, for example,
if for me, being there for people, for my associates, is something that is crucial. I always speak them that I am here for them whenever they need me, and they knew that I am very busy, that I have many tasks, and we have that connection. When they have a real problem, they come to me and said, okay, I know you are busy, but I need you right now. And that is something that is essential for everybody to know, associates who are you leading, and to take all business, because I don't think that there is anything that crucial. And if something is that crucial, that are the decision or businesses that you can done it in 5 or 3 minutes, and you need to be there for your people. maybe the most successful thing for me is that I all of the time I know when my associates are going for interview for the job in another company, and you need to be brave. And if you are speaking that you are for somebody for his or her development, you need to do that. You need to have courage to lead your people, because I believe when you are in coaching position and in a leader position, everything what you say, you need to demonstrate. So it is something that is difficult, but it works with the developing the people.
So to be there for your people and to, let's say, walk the talk.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how we build the trust. So any other example of shifting the mindsets during the busy days? How do you, for example, I mean, you don't have to start the coaching session, right? Like in the middle of the corridor, like just, okay, let's just sit down and let me ask you some questions. We don't do it like that. So we do it softly, gently, by using some tips and tricks. So do you have some examples also, and Aleksandar, David, how do you do it with your business people running through the targets and everything?
Yeah, okay, I can go. Well, I already mentioned that I work with teams. I usually don't do one-on-one sessions, but of course, when there is a problem with somebody in the team and I notice, of course, I do it at that situation. I have this, well, annoying habit, I would say, to just chat with people, you know, like randomly, especially with my team on a daily basis, like, hey, how are you? You know, things, whatever. And this is what I really try to do. I try to establish connections with everybody individually. Even if I'm not their line manager, I'm still responsible for that group of people in a sense. So yeah, I try to first, this is like a personal approach, just doesn't matter, it has nothing to do with coaching, but just be somebody that they can talk to. And then you notice shift in behavior, shift in talk, in energy, and you know, like you notice when something is off. And that's when I sort of say, let's go for coffee. And we don't necessarily need to go out for that, but that for me, it's a code. Let's talk one-on-one privately. And I would take them somewhere in the office where we can sort of isolate, whether it's available conference room or just a corner where we can sort of hide. Yeah, anywhere that can be actually private. Sometimes I really actually take them for coffee in a sort of nearby coffee shop, if that's possibility, depends. And I have a conversation there. This allows both them and me to sort of shift in our daily schedule and do this mind shift that we need in order to have a session. For me, this actually means, okay, now you're in coaching position, so just shut up, listen. That's the first self-message.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. And I would say that it has to do with the coaching a lot. I mean, it's not that it doesn't have necessarily something with the coaching, because what you're saying is basically building a rapport with your team member or the client.
Yes, I just meant not in a sort of session way, yes. Like we have this hour, how do you want to use it? You know, it's yes. Not a sort of official format.
Exactly. So it is possible, as you mentioned, just to have that conversations during the day, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even if you want to do the full session. So maybe to prepare your team member, just to shift the mindset. So maybe he or she is complaining about something, like I have a lot of things to do, and then you start creating the rapport. Oh, I hear a lot of things going on in your life or day, so a lot of things on your plate. So what may be the highlight of the day? What might be some good things that you did today or achieved or that you're proud of? So we are kind of supporting our team member to step by step separate from the problems or challenges or everything that is happening. We don't want to, let's say, erase that. It's going to be there as well, but you know, to support our team member to relax and to start thinking of the future or the good things. So this is something that we'll learn, and we'll learn it by doing it. And it is a great way of communicating with the people, and also to support them to relax from the daily basis, like business or challenges. Yes, Ivan, I hope that was the answer to your question. And we have another question. Could you please tell if coaching helped you also in your personal life? So maybe guys, you can share something from your point of view, since the ladies were talking.
Well, maybe I can say coaching sort of helps you ask the right questions, but nobody prepares you what to do when you get answers. And I think this helped me a lot to have this sort of emotional stability when you get answers and maybe you don't like them, or you think differently, and this balancing between leadership and a coach and sort of focus on neutral position, in my case, really helped me sort of understand the other side and sort of make the split, especially if I don't agree, or I have a different opinion, or I see a different path. It helped me learn to accept, okay, let's try it, and then, well, let's see in a month or 2 or 3, where before I think I was quite eager to explain or maybe convince the other side why their way was maybe not the right way, or why my way is the better way, where at the end you actually do not know. But through the questions and through, you know, getting answers, personally it helped me get this emotional stability to listen, okay, I understand, and then explore further. So it's not about having the first sort of answer or reaction, but going deeper and really understand the other side. And for me that was quite a huge journey, and I think it helped me quite a lot.
Beautiful. So we do develop every time we do coaching with a team or to one-on-one with a person, we do develop as a coach or team coach. And also it is a great recommendation for each coach to have also the coach. So again, as Ivana said, walk the talk and to be ready to create emotional stability and to learn how to, you know, as Anna said, shut up and to make sure that you really are in the coach position. So this is something that we develop through time, which is leading us to our next question that Anna's asked. So how you can avoid the biggest coaching trap to give the advice when the people are used to get it from you in the past? I was in charge as head of sales, and now I'm head of education. I want to help them to get advice from themselves, but it is sometimes really difficult because I did it for too long. So as I understand the question, you kind of was giving the advices, so people are used to get the answer from you, and now you need to shift into that role of coach and throw the questions instead of answers. So I don't know, maybe David, would you share your experience with this and to answer the question at the same time?
Sure. I think one of the important activities we can do as coaches is to line out a little bit the benefits if people find solutions themselves and if they get to the answers themselves. And what I mean by that is we talk also about that, calling it a future experience. So by asking questions that are future oriented, people can realize how the situation could look like if they do change it. And then often through this way, they identify also what motivates them and what is really important to them. So those are things that go more to values. And then people are much more interested and much more eager and have much more drive to come up with own ideas and ways of changing it. So often people come with a quick fix. They want to have a quick fix from you. They want to come to you, they want to have the answer now. And I know it is a challenge, especially when you were one of those people giving those advices. So one way is to step a bit back and to understand what is the reason? Why do they want to get there? And what's then the benefits for them? And then also to drive them into the direction of what would be the benefit if they can manage that themselves. Of course, there are sometimes situations where an advice is important. It depends, of course, on the situation, but especially when it's about personal development, helping people to find the answers themselves within a coaching format, within a coaching approach, is something that is much more powerful, because that creates motivation that lasts quite some time for them. It's a self-motivation for them, and then they can reach that goal. There's depends a bit on the situation. Sometimes it helps to get out of the setting. As Anna said, it's good to take them out of the office environment for a time being, just to stop. When people are coming to us for an advice, they are quite often stressed, they need something, they are in a need. And then often they can't really step back and think clearly. Sometimes it's good to take a breath and to actually help them to calm a bit down and to think about why is that important for them to get there. Sometimes the tone of the voice is something that is important. The environment where we are, that is de-stressing situations. And sometimes just to ask an open question of why is that important for them. So that's my advice. So to add to these different settings, also to watch out your body language, that you have a calm body language, that you are actually having a good tone of the voice that helps them to people to relax a bit. And then to also accept a different way of working with them by asking them questions rather than just telling them what to do.
Beautiful, exactly. So it is by changing everything or doing everything that David just mentioned, you kind of changing the setup. So on unconscious level, everything will be different from the previous experience, like just running into your office and asking for an advice or you giving them the answer. And also, there is one great thing that we learned during the coaching training, as you remember, guys. So it is using the softeners or giving the outcome of asking your questions. So for example, you can ask something like, you know, just for me to understand what kind of advice do you need? So would you tell me more? Or if I would give you the best possible advice, how would you know that you got it? So it's a little bit, let's say, playing with the questions softly, skillful, so the person doesn't feel like I don't want to give you the answer. You know, it's not that I'm rejecting your answer. I'm just going to, I would like to understand what is the real question that you have. Okay, so thank you, David, for sharing. So there is another question, reference to Anna's question. If client is expecting that we coach, that we or coach will give them advice, is it good to use metaphors to gently push them in the right direction? So I guess that we a little bit answered this. So we should not push them, but I would rather say invite them into another direction by really softly creating the rapport and the atmosphere and setup, and slowly, step by step, start asking questions. I'm really curious. I'm here to support you. It's not that I don't want to support you. It's just the way I'm going to support you is going to be a little bit different. Okay. And you're welcome. And there is another question, and we are kind of slowly approaching to the end of our time, believe it or not. So another question from Ivan is, how do you recognize if coaching conversation met is its objective, especially when having virtual remote coaching conversation? So maybe some of you who are working with the remote teams or coaching by using remote way of conversation would share some advice to Ivan how to recognize it.
So I could start maybe if there's no one else. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have the pleasure to work often with remote teams in different locations globally, and not only during the COVID situation now, but also before. It is a challenge. I do agree. It's not often easy. There's also some element of, I call it even like a comfortable zone and trust when we work with devices. So for example, having a video on, these kind of things are of course very helpful. People tend just to have the talks over the phone, right? So leading by example, having a video on, being engaged with people, using polls or surveys with a team, and in a one-on-one approach to create an environment that is virtually, even maybe with a nice virtual background. If you have that opportunity, people enjoy that. So to make it more attractive for people to also join you in a virtual way to have coaching activities. When you mentioned the objective, so I understood your question, how do you recognize if coaching conversation met its objective? And that is a little bit about what is the objective, what's the contract you have with your people there. So the objective should be the one of the coachee, not yours. And that is a very difficult challenge sometimes as leaders in organizations, because we have the task to achieve our corporate goals, for example, but it might be not the goals the individual has. So therefore, from a mutual coach position, we should work as coaches in their interest, of course. And then it depends if we can achieve this objective from their point of view. That's why an intake session on what is the coaching about and how would you describe a successful coaching session is a very important question we ask in the beginning during the course of coaching, because then we know what the target is for that person to meet the objective.
Mm-hmm. So whenever you don't know the answer, ask your client. That might be the great advice for leaders, coaches, or any person that works with other people. So maybe I would just ask the last question before we wrap up this first panel. So if you could give a great advice to the future coaches or the people who are exploring coaching at the moment or asking themselves, is this for me? Is this something that I could use in the company? So what may be the right one? So if each of you would just be kind to share and maybe start with Ivana.
Okay, well, I don't know how to answer it quickly, but maybe the main thing about coaching is that coaching process is not about coach, it is about coachee, and that is something that is essential. You need to, as coach, you need to enjoy other success, not to run for your own success. And the more experience you have in coaching, you will be able to stay in a neutral position, because that is essential for every coaching process. And remember two things: trust and support. I mean that is something that is really, I love these cards, Maria.
Yeah, I love it as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Trust for sure, and support, of course. And this is the maybe different kind of support comparing to what people are used to, but it is really important. Thank you. Anna, would you share some good advice to the future coaches?
Yeah, well, to be honest, when I started this journey, I wasn't sure where I will end up. If I was gonna continue with coaching after first module or not, if I was gonna use it in my professional life, whether I was gonna make a business out of it, you know, I wasn't sure where to place it. But what actually happened is that I realized that I'm already using coaching quite a lot, even before I started actually learning about it. Because I'm, as I mentioned, I work in IT industry, and agile mindset is one of the most important things when you're working in a fast-paced, fast-changing industry. And coaching sort of embodies and embraces all the principles of Agile Manifesto. And that was sort of a revelation for me when I started. You know, like individuals and interactions over processes. That's basically coaching, because the most important asset any IT company can have are their people. And yeah, and a lot of ceremonies that we use in Scrum are actually part of coaching, or I'm not sure what is older, to be honest, I haven't done the research, but they're compatible and they're complementing each other. So it was like, you know, when I was sitting in your classroom, it was like you were speaking my language. Okay, I know this. So goals, risk, dependencies, yeah, fine, that's the plan. But you know, like how do we align? What is our purpose? What are the values? How do we align the whole team? How do we get them to start to move? What drives them? You know, like that was important for me. And yeah, some of the things were familiar. I just wasn't aware why, you know, why they were familiar, why I knew about them, but it's sort of everything clicked. So for me, I think that we live in times where everybody's sort of rushing and everything is changing quite rapidly. I think we saw this especially in the last couple of months. And we need to be able, both as individuals and as part of companies, larger organizations, we need to be able to understand how to respond and how to adapt quickly. And I think coaching is something that can help both you personally and the people that you support in your organization, even in your personal life. So that for me was a big takeaway.
Thank you. So for being more agile, flexible, and to adapt. Thank you, Anna. Aleksandar, would you share your advice to the people who are exploring coaching at the moment?
Yeah, well, allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to make mistakes, like David said. I think that's quite important. If you feel that the coaching is the direction you want to go, so give yourself time to explore and to grow as a coach and as a leader. And I think what Anna says is this adaptability is crucial, because even with the current situation, you don't know what's coming. And if you don't know something, you have to ask questions. So don't ask questions yourself, include the team, include the people around you, and try to find the answers together, because the market, the economy, the world, it's so dynamic, it changes so fast. And I think the coaching can help sort of answer something that looks like I have no idea or I have no clue, but let's sort of learn about it together. Let's see what we need to do next together. So that's sort of, for me, is why I think coaching is quite important.
Thank you. So you don't have to do everything yourself. Involve people and ask questions. Thank you. And David, what would you say?
So without repeating what is already said, I would like to add, it would be good to hold a bit back to understand why this is so important for you, why you would like to do coaching, and then to check if you have some passion for that, if that's something you really enjoy. I think with coaching, when you interact with others, this is something that is really critical, important. Like, for example, financial reward and also success, I think it's a side effect. So if you really enjoy what you're doing and you have passion for that, then you should try it, you should do it. And that's actually a very nice slogan. I like it. Just do it. So as mentioned, you just do it, and of course it won't be perfect, and you will see if that is something you do like. So that's one thing I would like to give an advice. And also, we need at the moment a lot of coaches, for the good reason that we actually help people from the human perspective to overcome uncertainty, times of fear, and affinity distance. That is something where our work is quite very much used and also very needed. And at the same time, it helps yourself, because it helps you also to focus on the things you truly appreciate. And those are at the moment often small things in life, and not what we plan for the next vacations, because we can't do it these days. So think big and also dream big, as we hear that sometimes, and walk the talk. And then we can overcome also anxiety and fear. And maybe to pick carefully the people who support you. Look for people who give you good advices, but also critical feedback. That is very important. And at the same time, avoid the people who just use anxiety and fear, and they do not give you any energy. So it's also, maybe you would like to look a little bit around, who are your true supporters during these days here. And then absorb what is useful and refuse what is useless.
So filter it.
Yes, filter it.
Thank you, David. And well, we're basically finishing our time today. So I hope this was useful, and it was something that was giving you approach to understand coaching from the experience, which is, I would say it is really important to understand how different people use it. So thank you, first of all, to our panelists. Thank you guys for being here today. And I know that you're busy and having a lot of things to do. So thank you, David, Aleksandar, Anna, Ivana. And all of you who joined us today, thank you for your time. And if you liked it, send us some comments or infos. How would you like to continue exploring coaching? So maybe we can do something in the future together. Until then, I'm kind of wishing you a great day the rest of the week, and great exploring of what you like, what are your passions, and if the coaching is something that you are passionate about, we are more than happy to answer your questions. So there is a red card that Ivana is showing, and that one is with love. Okay, so let's say love you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, Maria.